Well. Enough of you said you need better lighting, so you can tell me if I went over the top. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. I am blinding myself in the face, but I'm doing it for you so you guys can see this beautiful 2003 Saab 95 Aero. In this episode, we are completely tearing apart this engine. We have a leaky gasket that's on the valve cover. Whoever put that on there put on, you know, some gasket maker which doesn't belong in there, and it's a mess and it's leaking, probably because it was missing a check valve, which, by the way, we put in there. I can show that to you momentarily. But regardless of all that, we're going to take apart the top end, we're going to take apart the oil pan, and we're going to go ahead and inspect the top end and the bottom end of this engine, make sure that there is zero sludge, because we want to make sure that this car stays on the road for much longer than 133,000 miles. So let's get into it. If you are not familiar with this engine and how this works, it's pretty straightforward. I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna start off by removing the inlet to the throttle body, clearing all this stuff out of the way, removing the valve cover gasket using a Torx bit. Very simple. I have done a video on that previously, so I can link it all above so you guys can really learn how to do it in depth if you need to do it on your Saab. From there, we're gonna go underneath, remove the oil pan. To do that, you need to take apart the driver's side transmission torque mount. There's also a cover on the transmission covering the flywheel with two 11mm bolts. Take those off, and then go ahead and remove all of the bolts that are holding the oil pan on. Of course, drain the oil first, and then go ahead, lift up the driver's side transmission, and then pull that pan down. Before you even get to those parts, the first thing you gotta do is actually remove the exhaust from the turbo, which is located right here. So again, I've also done that video before on the oil pan, so I will go ahead and link that above as well. So if you guys need to do those jobs, you can go ahead and learn how to do it a little bit more in depth than what I just kind of mentioned straightforward, because a lot of this video is to really just focus in on the internal of this engine, not on how to do all that, since I've done it all before. So you can go ahead and watch those videos if you need to. So without further ado, let's jump into this thing. So for starters, inside here is pretty dry. You can tell that there was previous oil leakage, so that's actually a good thing here. Now, the engine hasn't been really run yet. We've just idled it, but, you know, we'll clean this up. We'll make it right. Alright guys, as you can see, we have a good top end. There is no sludge, and it looks pretty good. Now, the oil is not changed in this car, so who knows how long the oil has been sitting in here, which is obviously what's making it look brown, but chain is in decent shape here, not too loose. This is like normal for what it is. And there's no sludging here. All of the bolts and everything look good. There have been cases where sludge builds up if you're not using the right oil, caking up on here, and obviously in this scenario we are good. So I'm gonna go ahead, get a little napkin, we're gonna wipe it up a little bit, then we're gonna clean up the valve cover, get the rest of the paint off of there, because I'm gonna get some engine paint and paint it, make it black again, make it great again. Hey, how you doing over there? All right, let's keep it going. All right, boys, I just did this off camera, but cleaned the inside here with some brake cleaner, ruffled it up a little bit, got a lot of the surface stuff off that was caked up on the sides here, cleaned up some of the oil stains. It's not 100%, but doesn't need to be. And now I'm just going to remove all of this extra gasket that for some reason is on here. Alright guys, so as you can see, we got this thing nice and cleaned up. That is looking pretty decent on the top end of the engine there, nothing to really worry about. I'm going to go ahead now, take a wire brush to the paint to try to get all the loose paint off of this thing and prep it for some fresh engine paint. We're going to paint it black obviously and make it look stock OEM. Alright boys, we are back. I went out, I drained the oil pan so I can drain the oil pan. I drained the oil out at the shop to drain the oil pan out of the car. A lot going on there. I also picked up some engine paint, black semi-gloss. We're going to go ahead and paint this valve cover as I prepped it. Got all the loose paint off, all the bubbles out. I put some wax and grease remover on there to get any oil off. So let's go ahead and take care of this. Alright guys, it doesn't look 100% factory OEM, but it looks much better than it did with all that chipped paint coming off. It also looks a little rugged, which is kind of the way I like it because this is a rugged Saab. It doesn't need to be perfect. Let's get it back inside so it can dry. Alright boys, before I get changed and start to get real dirty here underneath the car, pulling down the exhaust and the oil pan, I want to go ahead and show you, since the valve cover is off, how easy it is to unplug the catalytic converter harnesses. If you look right here, do you see where my finger's pointing to that blue harness right there? That is a metal holding that holds the harnesses in place for the catalytic converter. There's two plugs. There's the front end and the back end, so obviously those can only really go in to one another, so you don't have to worry about them being mixed up when you reassemble. So that's where they're located. So I'm going to go on camera now and try to wrestle that out so you guys can know exactly where it's coming from if you're going to go ahead and do this job yourself. And then we're going to go and remove this out of the way to get to the exhaust, the cat. I should say the downpipe. Alright guys, so before I jack up the front of the car here, I did break the lug nuts, lug bolts on the wheel here, because that wheel is going to have to come off. So we're going to go ahead, push this up, rest it up on jack stands, drain that oil. Alright guys, so a lot has happened here a little bit off camera. Whoever had put this oil drain plug on really did a number on over tightening it. So we stripped it and had to run out and get a bolt extractor, and obviously as you can see we got it out. And we got a new one to replace it. The oil is drained out of the pan at this point. A little bit of dribble left. And as expected, that oil has definitely been sitting in that pan and in that engine for quite a long time. It's pretty black. So good thing we're going to take that oil pan off, clean it out, make sure there's no sludge. And we'll be keeping you in the loop as we go. Top of the engine is good. All right, guys, the last bolt of this. Oh, I just jinxed myself. The last bolt is slowly coming out here. All right, guys, so we got that last stem off. It kind of broke, but as you can see here, underneath here, I don't know if the light is, there's enough light here. Let me just see if there's enough light. Guess the point of this conversation here is that this bracket is now free and clear, so we can go ahead and remove this exhaust. See how the exhaust is free? See that? And now I'm just gonna go under there, release the secure. There's a bracket that secures underneath, 13mm bolt that holds this in place. So we're gonna go ahead and remove that. All right, guys, so here, let me see that for a sec. I lost you. So right here, guys, right here is the bracket that that we gotta release this with. Okay. Get this down. Ready? I'm gonna come out. All right, boys, we got the pan loose. I'm gonna jack up the transmission and it should clear the subframe. We gotta do a woo! Good job, Joe.
All right.
Little fun Saab engineering always when you pull these pans. There is the pan, boys. We're gonna go ahead, degrease this a little bit, pull out that sump pump there, and check it out. All right, guys, so here is the sludge in this oil pan. You ready? So not so backed up, which is good. We knew that we had oil pressure. But look at the bottom of this pan here, guys. Look at all that sludge. That is sludgy. No good, no good. So thank goodness, thank God we took the time on this project to go ahead, pull the pan. If you guys aren't familiar with these engines from Saab, they are very, very highly prone to this problem, and so many people have blown engines because of the sludge that builds up on the bottom of this pan. Thankfully, the screen wasn't backed up. I've seen it worse than that, but this is all the beginning stages of sludge, and it's not even a beginning stage. That is sludge. So I'm so happy. Whoever had this car definitely never did this before. So thank goodness, thank God we did this. So let's go ahead, continue to degrease this, make it brand spanking new. The other thing that you also should know, guys, when you pull these sump pumps out, there's a gasket right where my right thumb is, right here. And that's a rubber gasket. Always replace that. If you don't, you will
Have this a problem.
You will have a problem with oil pressure. So let's go ahead and drain this out. There's a lot in there. Alright guys, it is getting dark outside. We scrubbed this down quite a bit out there. Drained all the water into the oil pan, fill pan, so don't think we got oil into the driveway. So this is what it's looking like. Looks pretty damn good. I'm just gonna let this dry out overnight here. It looks pretty damn good. We're gonna let this dry out overnight, and then tomorrow, when the new gaskets and everything come in the mail, we'll get this thing installed and situated. Guys, not only did we just pick this car up cheap and save it, we literally saved it. This oil pan was not too healthy looking, so I've seen much worse, but when I've seen it worse, I've seen a blown engine. So, you know, taking it for the Saab team over here, boys. Stay tuned. We'll see you here in a minute. All right, guys, it is the next day here, and good news is, box is here. We have our emblem for the trunk, shifter for the inside. We got our engine mounts. I'm gonna replace the torque mount and the passenger side mount. I got the Loctite gasket maker, oil filter, flex pipe, and of course the gasket for the valve cover right there, which we'll be putting on here shortly. So let's not talk too much. Let's get back into reassembling our clean oil pan. Guys, just so you know, this is the oil tube pickup ring. You can see how hard it's gotten. See how brittle that is? Literally just falling apart. So here is the new one. You can see that it's a little bit more rubbery. So always make sure you change this so you get a fresh seal on your oil pan pickup tube sump pump. As you can see here, this guy is nice and cleaned out. We're gonna go ahead now and just reassemble this, clean all the surfaces, apply the gasket maker, and reinstall this oil pan. So to speed things up, I just cleaned the surfaces on the oil pan and underneath the engine, degreased everything, made sure the surfaces were clean. I also purchased gasket maker, which is made by Loctite. So it's a high temp, high heat gasket sealer. And I'm gonna go ahead and apply it now real quick to the pan. Go ahead and begin to reassemble the oil pan. 18 bolts later, we'll go ahead and just do everything in reverse. So I'm gonna speed up the camera here. That's what's going on. Again, I'll link all of the parts and supplies and tools that you may need to do this job at your own place in the link below or in the description below, so you guys can go ahead and do this yourself. Let's keep doing it. All right, boys, we got a nice lineup of gasket sealer there. We got the engine hoisted up here on the driver's side. Let's go ahead and just simply put this thing back into place. Alright guys, we have officially sealed this oil pan back off. Everything is torqued down as you just saw me run through. 16 foot-pounds of torque. Alright guys, this concludes this episode. I hope you guys can give this thing a thumbs up, comment below, give this video a share, and of course, as always, please subscribe to the channel. Also, be sure, if you guys want to support your boy here, check out the merch link below, teespring.com. I've designed all of the designs that are in my store, so if you guys are interested in any Saab merch, please check out the links below. Again, thanks for watching. We will see you next time, because in the next episode, we are going to finish off this engine, fix the exhaust, and maybe get this engine started. So thanks, I'll see you guys later.